I don't know why designers and builders put chain plates right up against plywood bulkheads. So we're going to change this to this, and it will never deteriorate again. Hello, we are Patrick and Rebecca Childress on the Valiant 40 brick house. We are currently hauled out in Richards Bay, South Africa, going through the boat, doing a lot of things, making some modifications, and getting this boat ready to cross the Atlantic to South America. Well, good morning, Sip. Yeah, what Sip's going to do this morning is to take this little angle grinder and get into this crack right here at the tow rail. Yeah. And get in here and grind this out. I know this is all solid fiberglass in here, but there might be some voids. I can't imagine why it cracked like this, but we'll dig this out, round it out, and bring it out to here, maybe up to here, and then we'll lay in some thin fiberglass cloth and rebuild it. This is the hole for the upper shroud chain plate, and we will be working today on that bulkhead that the chain plate was attached to. Our chain plates are made of grade 5 titanium. Grade 5 titanium is 3.5 times stronger than 316 stainless steel. Grade 5 titanium is impervious to the marine environment. There's no sense in having such high quality chain plates if I'm a little suspicious of the bulkhead to which it is attached. So we'll be digging into that bulkhead today and fix anything that we find wrong with it. All of our chain plates, mast tangs, and clevis pins are all made of grade 5 titanium. Any lesser grade just wouldn't do. And we get all of our titanium products from Allied Titanium in Washington State. They also have an office in Delaware. If you would like more detailed information on the use of titanium on a sailboat, you can refer to my article in Practical Sailor magazine, December 2011, titled The Great Titanium Trickle Down. And of course, that's accessible online.
That boat is too old now, huh?
41 years old. That's older than you, isn't it?
41 years old. Hey, it's too old.
I'm sure you're going to last better than this boat, though. Yeah, we'll fix it up good. Make it good for crossing the Atlantic.
All right, no problem, man.
Right. I'm going to be down below taking slats out and getting things ready so we can work down below after this is all ground out. Okay. See you in a few minutes. Okay, so I'm down here in the starboard side, and I've taken, let me get this light turned on here. I've taken everything out of our stereo cabinet so I could get to, this is insulation, that's why it doesn't look so good, just peeled back. And I wanted to get to this tabbing because I saw that it was loose. So I've pulled this tabbing away from the bulkhead. And it's nice to see that there's no rot or anything. It's still solid, it's in good shape, but it had been damp behind there. That's probably why this pulled away. So I have the dryers on here. They've been running all night, and I have a little heater over here on this side. I'm going to let it run for another 24 hours. It looks pretty good up here, the tabbing. On the other bulkhead, where there's a what is it, an aft lower shroud chain plate, all that tabbing is in good condition. And over here I've been ripping out the ceiling, and I'll be pulling all these slats out to get them out. We'll finish those, we'll sand them down. So this is a ceiling panel that I took down. On the back side here It says Marlite, planks, blocks, panels, man-made finish hardboard. Board would be more of a generic name for this stuff. Masonite is another brand name manufacturer of hardboard. But it's a paper product, compressed, heat treated, with a hard finish on one side. And this is what happens to it when it gets a little wet occasionally. This came down from over the galley, actually over the stove. And it's all alligatored. You can see the paper here sort of pulling away here. I would not call that marine grade. So we replaced these with fiberglass panels that I had made here in the boatyard. And incredibly expensive. I had to do that because the Jeep that has been loaned to us, at that point it was in the shop. I just couldn't run out and get something else. But we have been using PVC, polyvinyl chloride sheets for sealing material. This is a small piece of the panel that we use for the sealing. And they come in 4x8 sheets, that is 4 feet wide, 8 feet long, and 1/8 and 1/4 inch thicknesses. This is PVC, polyvinyl chloride, same stuff that water pipes are made out of. Very smooth, shiny surface on both sides. It's aerated in the center, so it's light. It isn't solid, but it is very flexible. The only negative that I see about this is that it is a bit on the soft side. You can actually take your thumbnail and really press in and cause an indentation. So care must be taken when working with it. It does scratch easily, but once it's up, then it's really no problem. It's very easy to clean with some Windex to clean off any mildew or maybe some dirt that somehow got up there. Good stuff, lasts forever, water doesn't bother it. And this was a little damp, so I've had just a little leak from the chain plate. I think the hole for the chain plate coming through the deck was just too tiny to get enough sealant in there, butyl sealant. So I'm gonna build this area up with SIP started grinding away outside, so I'll have to do a voiceover. Apparently there was just a tiny leak. Maybe the hole wasn't big enough to carry enough butyl sealant to seal the chain plate properly, but the bulkhead did get a little damp. The tabbing on this side is in good shape, but what I'll do is take thickened epoxy and smoothen the whole area and build this up and make sure everything is nice and tight. And then painting, varnishing, that just won't work. So we'll put some plastic laminate like Formica over the top of this and make it look good. But the whole idea will be to isolate this bulkhead from any potential water in the future. We'll get these slats out of here, sand them down, varnish them, make them look good. We'll put everything back into here so any owner in the future will never have a problem with water intrusion in this area or problems with water affecting the bulkhead. Pulling these slats, everything has to be numbered for their proper orientation back in place and an arrow showing what side is actually going up. Otherwise, it becomes a tremendous puzzle trying to figure out what slat went in what particular position. These slats were installed at the Valiant factory using common steel brads. And these brads are so deteriorated, most of them don't have much gripping ability anymore. And some of these brads I can't pull out of the wood. I have to drill them out because they're so rusty, just to get those rusty heads out. And then the hole will be filled with putty and then sanded, and then everything will be varnished and looking pretty good again. Reinstalling these slats, I'll be using stainless steel panhead screws. When I first checked the moisture reading of this bulkhead, it was up there around 25%, which is rather high. And after 2 days of the heaters drying this bulkhead, it has gotten down to 10%, 8%. And normally 8 to 12% is furniture grade kiln dried lumber. So this bulkhead is good to go. We are ready to reassemble things. I decided not to just re-glue this tabbing to the bulkhead, but I'm going to rip the tabbing out from the bulkhead and also from the fiberglass hull and install new layers of fiberglass tabbing. This actually came out a bit easier than what I anticipated, but it's not unusual for old fiberglass tabbing to get a little weak in its join with the fiberglass hull. But we'll be putting this back far stronger than what the factory ever did. After wire brushing and then sanding with 40 and then 60 grit paper, it's time to wipe everything down with acetone. But in a confined area like this, boy, you sure do have to be able to hold your breath for a long time. So I've got 2 layers of biaxial, and with a chop strand matting backing. We'll put this one on first, and then this one overlays it. And we have things set up in here, so some plastic, so I don't make too much of a mess. This piece of plywood is going to go up here, so I can wet out the fiberglass to go back up in the corner here. And I made a fillet, and I just had a little round disc of fiberglass, and I used that. It's like a big silver dollar, just a round circle of fiberglass. And I used that to squish in thickened epoxy. So that's epoxy resin thickened with Cabosil. So that helps to make a radius so that the fiberglass cloth won't have to make too tight of a turn. So I'll be following the old profile of where the tabbing went along here, and then back into here. And then I'm going to put a second layer of fiberglass cloth in that'll come back over to here. So actually it's going to be thicker and stronger than the previous tabbing. I'm using epoxy resin on all of these repair projects. And the fin roller, it does a great job of rolling out and squeezing out the excess resin and any air bubbles that might be trapped in the resin and the cloth. Once the fiberglassing is done, and while the resin is still wet, then the peel ply goes on. Peel ply is a polyester cloth, and it helps to lay down the fibers of the fiberglass and makes for a much easier, nicer, smoother finish, so there'll be little or no sanding needed in this application. But then I suddenly decided to lay up 2 more layers of the combi cloth and more peel ply, so in the end, the layup is twice as thick as what I originally intended. So let's go around to the other side. And here on this side of the bulkhead, I just finished sanding all of the glue, everything that I used to level out in here. I used the Bosch sander for sanding all of this up here, and what an amazing tool. Just the power of the machine itself blows a lot of that dust down this tube. In a way, there was hardly any dust coming out, but when I noticed there was some dust, then I went and turned on the vacuum cleaner, and it's amazing just how dust-free of an operation it becomes. What a good machine. And I'm plugging up the hole up here where the chain plate came through. We're going to patch that up from the outside, make it nice and solid. So when the plastic laminate goes up here, any water that might come through a chain plate hole is not going to touch this bulkhead, the wood bulkhead. It'll only be able to run down the plastic laminate to eliminate any potential rotting situation for a future owner of this boat. So everything is in here really nice and strong on both sides, very well tabbed in. And now it's a matter of sort of putting everything back together again. But now I have to get a laminate trimmer, a power tool, to trim out, to cut out the plastic laminate. I'll first make some templates and then cut it down on the ground and cut it to shape and get it ready to install. So rather than trying to make one big template out of one big sheet of cardboard, I'm going to cut this up, make smaller pieces, and then glue or tape them together. Alright, so we have a pretty good template here. A couple little adjustments to make when I lay it out. And we'll fill this piece in, cut a little off the bottom. This comes up 1/4 inch, comes back over to that arrow, and then I'll cut it, see how well it fits. Well, that's all that we have time for today in this video, but the next video we'll pick up right where we left off, cutting the plastic laminate for this bulkhead that's right behind me. I hope this video was worthwhile for you. If it was, please click on the thumbs up button down below there, and also the subscribe button if you haven't already. Also, in the video description there will be a link to the tip jar if you don't mind helping out in that direction. That lets us know that the videos are being appreciated and certainly gives us encouragement to continue making them. Also in the video description will be a link to the Practical Sailor titanium article. So thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time.